Hello BookTube, Sarah here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a tag. This is the Bookish Boxes and Buzzwords tag. I was tagged by the lovely Elizabeth over at Lizzie Faye Loves Books back in early August, and yeah, I'm finally getting to this now, so I do apologize for the delay. This is a really fun tag, kind of about the things that, you know, gravitate you, the things that you gravitate towards with your books and things like that. So yeah, there are 10 questions and 2 bonus questions. So let's jump in and get started. I actually did not write anything down for any of these, so I'm answering these all off the cuff. A little bit more organic that way, if you will. So the first question is, your go-to genre or favorite type of book? I'm pretty sure that's self-explanatory based on the title of my channel. It's romance novels. More specifically though, my go-to all the time would definitely be more contemporary romance novels. I do love historicals, but contemporaries do tend to be my favorite. Number 2, retellings you're drawn to. Retellings is not something that I generally hunt out. I do think it's fun when I come across something that is a retelling of, you know, maybe a fairy tale. For example, in September I read 3 Wishes by Stephanie Bond, which was sort of a modern day retelling of Aladdin. And it was really adorable, and I really liked it. And it was, you know, when I first went into the book, I didn't really read what it was about. I knew, obviously, I have the cover up here for you guys to see it, that, you know, it had something to do with the whole genie in a lantern story, but I didn't realize how very much it was an Aladdin retelling, down to the characters' names, where the male lead's name was Aladdin and the female lead's name was actually Jasmine. So it was really cute. It was a short little book, and, you know, I do recommend it. I didn't give it a super high rating. It wasn't one of Stephanie Bond's best books, but it was highly enjoyable and very entertaining. Question number 3, lifestyle or careers of the book characters. This is also something I've never really thought about before. You know, I guess maybe people who have a job that I would have loved to have. You know, I do customer service for a living. I'm good at it. I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but some people are born to be customer service people, some people are not, and thankfully I am one of those people. I am very good at my job. The beauty part about customer service is that you can work for any industry. You know, as long as you get to know the product or whatever it is that you're selling, the product or service, you can do what you do. You know, you don't have to necessarily be specialized in a certain area or industry, but it's not my dream job. I went to college for journalism. I did drop out after the first year, but I've always wanted to be a writer. And, you know, ever since I was a little kid, like 6 years old, I can remember writing little short stories. You know, I'm not giving up on that dream. It could still happen. I am planning to participate in NaNoWriMo in November this year, and I will be adding videos to my channel every week on Mondays, because I know a lot of AuthorTube people do Manuscript Mondays, and I think I'm going to follow suit and join in on that just to kind of keep the momentum going for me. So, you know, I could be 85 and still publish my first book. You know, just because you're older, you don't have to give that up. But, you know, and I really want to start, you know, doing more book reviews and things like that. But anyway, back to the question itself. Obviously, you know, I've noticed that I really tend to like when characters, either male or female, it doesn't matter which lead character it is, has a kind of a job as a writer of some kind. Whether it be, you know, they write for a magazine or a newspaper, or they are an author themselves. I just find when I read that's what the character does, I get a little bit excited, and I think, you know, that's my dream job, and I think that would be awesome. Question number 4, places or settings you are drawn to. I tend to not gravitate towards, but most of the books that I read do take place in the US, and I do love small town romance. There's just something about a small town where everybody knows everybody else that I just absolutely love. You know, and on the flip side, there is also, for example, Sarah Morgan's series, From Manhattan with Love, that takes place in New York City, that I love because the city itself almost becomes another character in the story. You know, I always get excited as well when I run across series or books that are set in my own home country of Canada, more specifically Toronto. I haven't found too many of them, but, you know, it's always fun. But yeah, I have to say it's funny to you know, to really pick one or the other, because they're two very vastly different things. But I do love small town romance and big city romance as well. Question number 5, relationships you enjoy reading about. Being a romance reader, some of my absolute favorites are either friends to lovers story, which I really enjoy, or people that used to know each other in high school. You know, people who have a history. I always like that. I feel the relationship has more of a basis to it. You know, they might, even if they, you know, they were friends, so they have that friendship already, and there's always a lot of complications with that when, you know, the people are friends. You don't want to lose that friendship if a romance becomes involved. Or people who knew each other in high school, and either they got along or they didn't get along, you know. I always just love that kind of relationship that already has a basis to it, not just two people meeting, you know, for the first time, that kind of insta-love thing. It's a little bit more than that, a little bit more of a background to it. Question number 6, buzzwords in the title of a book. This one, I did look over these questions before I sat down, so I kind of had a little inkling of how I wanted to answer these. But this one, I thought more about it, and I started thinking about my TBRs and the stuff that I have read and stuff like that. And it's place names, of all things. Some of my favorite series are place names for the titles. For example, Rayanne Thane's, I think is it the Haven Point series? The first book is called, like, Snow Angel Cove, and then there's Redemption Bay and stuff like that. So it's like named after places. The Chesapeake Shore series by Cheryl Woods is big for this too. The Inn at Eagle Point, you know, Harbor Lights, you know, stuff like that. Those titles that kind of give a place name as opposed to, you know, like a title, something to do with the two characters. I don't know what it is, but those are some of my favorite books. And again, it's that small town romance feel that I absolutely love. Things on book covers that you're drawn to. Harking back to the previous question, scenes, not necessarily characters. I prefer books that have a beautiful scene. You know, the cover for Redemption Bay, I think it is, by Rayanne Thane, is just gorgeous. You know, same with Snow Angel Cove. You know, those are both covers that I would, if you took all the words off, I would love to have that print hanging in my, you know, it would be a beautiful print in your home or your apartment. You know what I mean? So I love stuff that shows like houses or scenes or things like that. Like, and when I say scenes, I don't mean scenes with characters. Something without people in them, or the people might just be a small part of it or something like that. So yeah. 8, nonfiction buzzwords. Type of nonfiction you are drawn to. This is going to be, I don't know whether this is surprising or not, but considering my personal background with my medical issues, I love weird medical history. I absolutely, not necessarily just weird, but medical history. You know, I just think it's fascinating. One of my favorite podcasts is just aside from the tag, but just in case you guys are podcast listeners and you're interested, there is a great podcast on iTunes and Spotify. You can find it pretty much anywhere that you would get your podcast from. It's called Sawbones. And it's a husband and wife team that host it, and the wife is a doctor. She's a legitimate family physician, an MD, and her husband is not. He's kind of the layperson, if you will, and they go through weird medical history, and I love it. It is hysterical at some points. There is a great episode I would recommend if you're going back through the archives and you're looking for something to watch. I'll try and find it and link it directly below. But essentially, it was a Christmas special, if you will, and they did the movie Home Alone, and they talked about all the injuries that the characters got in the movie and how bad they actually would have been. Stuff like that. I love it. But back to the tag. One of my favorite nonfiction books that I ever read was called Bellevue. And it was the history of Bellevue Hospital in New York City. And it was fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. The other thing I love is the history of language. What was the book by The Mother Tongue, I think it was, by Bill Bryson. I loved that book. And, you know, anything with just like history. There's another book that Bill Bryson did. He's really good for some of the nonfiction stuff, in my opinion anyway. I like his work. I'm on the wait list currently for The Short History of Everything on audiobook. It's a 6-month wait from the Toronto Public Library. But I will patiently wait for that one to read it on audio. And but anyway, he did this great book called Home, I think it was, and it was the history of everything in your house. So like why we have couches, why, you know, there's a bedroom, why, you know, all these. I love that kind of thing. Question number 9. Medical or physical conditions of characters. I love this one. I really do love it, and I think it's funny. Steve Donahue talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think with romance, with romance novels, that it would be so nice if you had people who were a bit more average. You know, not necessarily that, you know, everybody looks amazing and, oh, isn't she beautiful and blah, 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 and he's so handsome and stuff like that. You know, it's just a lot nicer to see the average, you know, person. Like, for example, the book I was just reading, Wild on My Mind by, I want to say Lauren Kerr, I believe is her name. I really, really enjoyed the book. I thought it was a great, great fun story. But my thing with it is that in high school, she was considered to be the ugly duckling. Like, she had bad hair and bad skin, and she wore glasses and things like that. Then, of course, she goes off to university, and of course, her roommate, you know, shows her how to straighten her hair and shows her how to wear makeup, and all of a sudden, now she's a swan. You know, did she have to be? Could she still be a little geeky? I like that. I like it. You know, characters who wear glasses. I actually do wear glasses. I'm supposed to all the time. I can see without them, but I have one bad eye, so I am supposed to wear them because if not, your eyes just start to deteriorate. So, but I don't wear them for the videos just because of the glare. But anyway, characters who wear glasses, characters who have bad skin days. For medical conditions, again, harking back to Sarah Morgan's From Manhattan with Love, the first book, the main character actually had a congenital heart condition. Now, personally, as someone with one, I didn't quite love the way it was written. I didn't dislike it. It was just, there was a few things I kind of went, I might have changed that just a little bit. But then again, Sarah Morgan, you know, did a great job with it anyway. So, you know, stuff like that. You know, not everybody is absolutely perfect like a supermodel. I like the average person more. And I think they're more relatable as well. You know what I mean? Category, or question number 10, excuse me. Time of the year or time in history or future that you are drawn to. I do not read a lot of future books. I'm not big on sci-fi or anything like that. But for time of the year, holidays. The holidays. I love Christmas books. Christmas books and romance novels just go hand in hand, in my opinion. You know, this time of year, October, is when I start to get super excited because all the Christmas books are coming out and I want to read every single one of them right now. So, along with Halloween, I love Halloween, like romance novels. And I'm not necessarily just talking paranormal. I'm talking like a standard small town contemporary romance novel set at Halloween. I think would be awesome. You know, like I talk about this and it's one of those, you know, if you don't read about it and you want to read about it, then you need to write it. So as I said earlier, you know, I'm planning on participating in NaNoWriMo. I have several story ideas rustling through my head that I want to write. So, you know, eventually maybe I'll publish them. Or time in history. I like the American West. The Harlequin historicals are some of my favorite books, but my absolute favorites are the ones that are set in the American West. I love me a good Regency, don't get me wrong, but I just love the American West ones. Lisa Plumley is a fantastic author for this. She wrote the Morrow Creek series that I've read a couple of them of and I really enjoy. Laurie Robinson does an amazing job with this. I've read a lot of books by her that I thoroughly enjoyed. So yeah, I would have to definitely say the American West would be my time in history. And now bonus question number 1. Are there any other bookish boxes or buzzwords not already mentioned? Not that I can really think of. You know, I really thought this was a very thorough tag and I really enjoyed it because it kind of made me start to realize the things that you're actually really drawn to. And, you know, like, you know, covers and characters, and because the cover's the first thing that draws you in, right? You know, and you kind of know that a lot of romance novels have that very standard type cover. Oh, if I had to pick one, if I had to add something, I've just thought about this now. US covers or UK covers? UK covers all the way. I mean, there are a lot of US covers that I love, but looking at, was it Ash from Ash Hearts Books? I saw on Instagram. Oh, it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess. She was at her used bookstore and came across copies of the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn in these gorgeous UK editions. I swooned. I mean, I love the US covers. They're beautiful, but the UK editions are stunning. I might have to hunt them out on Book Depository. I'm actually doing that with the From Manhattan with Love series by Sarah Morgan because she is a UK author. That's her home base, I guess. those covers for the From Manhattan with Love series in a UK edition are gorgeous. I bought, I think, the first 2. So eventually I will have them when I clean off this shelf and make it all pretty. All of those books are going to be up there for display, which will be lovely. And bonus question number 2. What bookish boxes or buzzwords turn you away from a book? I knew how I wanted to answer this, but I was almost debating on whether I wanted to talk about it or not, because I didn't want anybody to get, not upset, but we're all entitled to our own opinion. And for me, it's anything with a baby or a secret child or anything like that. You know, if you gave me 2 books and one of them featured like a baby or a secret child or something like that, that's the one I probably would be less inclined to pick up. I still do read them, and I read a lot of them. They are very prevalent in romance. But as someone who, due to medical reasons, cannot have children, you know, I also made that decision. It was both, this is what could happen, so the choice is yours, and I made the choice to not do that, which is fine. My choice 100%. Not everyone, and for whatever reason it might be a medical reason, it might be personal reasons, they choose not to have children. And the thing that kind of irks me a little bit with a lot of romance novels is that that's the end result. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like it's a race, and, you know, the couple gets together and whatever, and the whole point at the end is to have children. If you feel like you're the kind of person that's going to fulfill your life, bonus points for you. It's not for me, it's not for my husband, it's not for a lot of people that I know. I have a lot of friends who made the decision not to have children for various reasons. And it's not the end all be all for us. You know, I would love to see some romance novels or something where that is not necessarily the end all be all goal, that the couple can just be happy together. You know, there's another thing that I've read a couple times. I haven't read it a lot, but it does anger me. Because, like, you know, the person will be having such a hard time having a child, and oh my God, they've given up. And then all of a sudden, by some miracle, they end up getting pregnant and everything is hunky-dory. That's not the way real life works. Unfortunately, why they couldn't adopt, why they couldn't, you know, just decide our life is fulfilling enough as it is. This is not something that was intended for us, you know, blah, 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 whatever. So yeah, so anyway, sorry, long little rant. I'm not saying I love children. I adore, I was a nanny for years. My niece and nephew are like my favorite people in the whole wide world. I adore them. You know, I wish things could have been different for me. I absolutely do. But it is what it is, and I've learned to live with it. And I just think it would be nice to show some people that you don't have to feel bad. And I think this is a society thing too. You know, you look at these tabloids when you're in the grocery store, and, you know, as soon as a celebrity, you know, oh, so-and-so have a baby bump, it's such a big deal. It is a big deal to the parents, you know, or to those who, you know, I don't know. Anyway, sorry, small rant over. I'm not going to tag anybody in this because it is an older tag, but if you have not done it and you want to do it, I'm going to go ahead and tag you. And I want to thank Elizabeth again for tagging me in this, because this one was really, really fun and I enjoyed it. So anyway, guys, until my next video, take care and happy reading. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye.